to the something on the beach. Poor Fishlegs jumped 2 feet in the air, thinking the something might be a ghost lady. But it was something large and solid, sticking up out of the white sands of the beach of the Broken Heart. "Maybe it's Kamikaze's boat," cried Hiccup, hopefully screwing up his eyes and trying to see. "Perhaps it crashed, and it's sticking kind of upwards out of the sand." "Warriors!" bellowed Stirk. "Let us investigate the something on the beach before we carry on looking for the perfect camping spot. It could be the missing child we've been looking for." The warriors were a little reluctant, to say the least. The sun was sinking rapidly in a beautiful display of pink and red and gold. However, no one was in the mood to appreciate a lovely sunset. Was it their imaginations, or was that drumming noise coming from the direction of the Island Berserk getting a little louder? "But Chief," Nobber No Brains pointed out, "that beach over there is not only haunted, it's also part of the territory of Ugg, the Ugly Thug." Ugg the Ugly Thug didn't like visitors. "Well, we're not going to land or anything, are we?" barked Stoat the Vast. "We're just going to check it out. What are you doing questioning my orders? I am the captain of this ship, and you should obey without question." So they roared their weary way towards the something on the beach, grumbling as they went. "Oh, useless, you're such a delight. I could just smack your useless fat head." Snort loud savagely, "and I would if I wasn't too tired and hungry to be bothered." But as they drew nearer into the shallower water of the bay, through a jigsaw of floating driftwood that had been flown up by the storm, even in the failing light of the dying evening, it clearly wasn't a boat. "It's too rectangular," said Fishlegs. What could it be? Fishlegs had just decided in his head that it was a coffin. He was obviously thinking slightly mournfully when there was a sudden crunch from the ship's bottom and they came to an abrupt halt. "Fools!" yelled Stirk. "You've hit a rock!" "You didn't tell us to stop," pointed out Nobber No Brains not unreasonably. "You're the captain. We just obey orders." They had hit a rock and they had holed the boat, which is never a good thing to do. Take it from me. I spent a lot of time in boats. Water poured in from the starboard side, and the fat penguin gently laid her very fat bottom on the sand of the beach of the Broken Heart and refused to move. It is always embarrassing for a Viking when he sinks his own boat, especially in only 2 feet of water. It is an occupational hazard, but it could not have happened at a more awkward time. The Vikings got out of the boat. The water was knee-deep. Tactfully, nobody said anything. "Thundering thighs and gingery whiskers and little twirly bits of the great god Gar!" exclaimed Stoat the Vast, a bright red in the face. There it is. As he shook his head at the heavens above, the last blink of sun disappeared on the horizon, and there they were, stranded on the beach of the Broken Heart until they could mend the boat in the morning. "Right!" shouted Stoat the Vast. "I think we've found our camp for the night." The hooligans on the other boat weren't so very keen to join them on the beach. "Our boat is all right," called out Baggy and the Veerlelly. "We might just stay aboard and sleep here." "What are you talking about?" roared Stoat the Vast. "Hooligans, stand together! Get out here, double quick!" It was not what you might call the perfect camping spot, but what choice did they have? The sun had sunk, and so had their boat. The moon was coming up, and the first of the glowworms was beginning to light up the still evening air. Too tired to argue, the hooligans anchored their other boat where it was and threw their animal skin blankets over their shoulders and waded through the knee-high water and up and onto the beach. At least they found out what the something on the beach was. It was a throne. You remember, at the beginning it said something about that one of the lost things was the throne. Could this be the lost throne of the West? Oh, I'm not supposed to say that. I'm not supposed to. I don't know anything. I just wrote the thing. I didn't say that. Anyway, it's an enormous empty throne. It was carved out of a single piece of white marble, but it obviously just come out of the water, for it was covered with a film of green algae and it was plastered as thickly with barnacles as if there were jewels, and long trails of seaweed drifted from the shell-encrusted arms. The throne was enormous, and such was its solid position on the beach. It was as if it were inhabited by a giant, invisible god, sitting there quietly looking out to sea. "How extraordinary!" breathed Stoat the Vast. "Where do you think this came from? And the hooligan coat of arms is on the back." "This must belong to us." "How quite extraordinary, but I've never seen a throne like this in my life. What on earth is a valuable hooligan throne doing miles out here, abandoned on a beach in the ugly thug territory? It's what do I mean to say, Hiccup? Inexplicable, said Hiccup, peering rather cautiously at the throne. There was something about this throne that gave him the spooks. Maybe it was the faint impression of a bloodstain on the back of it. That's never a good idea. Oh, a very old bloodstain, washed in the waters of the ocean for some time, but still there, a faint brown flower, the memory of some ancient betrayal. I think it must have been washed up by the storm like all these other things, said Hiccup, gesturing to a whole load of driftwood and bits of old bottles and jugs and crab shells and axe handles and half of Victor that lay drowning in pools of water on the sand on the beach. But what a treasure! breathed Stow at the vast, cheering up tremendously. And it belonged to us! Must have been some hooligan chieftain's throne back in the old days. Well, well, well! It was worth holding the fat penguin for this. Stoic rubbed his hands together excitedly. Stoic's present throne, back on Burke, hadn't really been the same since Toothless accidentally set it on fire a couple of months ago. You have to remember to listen to that one. That was A Hero's Guide to Deadly Dragons. That happened. It was hard to impress with a throne that had only 3 legs. Okay, warriors, Stoic yelled. Haul the thing above the high tide mark and then let's get the supper up and have an early night. Now, Hiccup, Stoic continued, you will learn the importance of making the best of things. Actually, that is rather important. Another very important hooligan characteristic. This may not be such a bad camping spot after all. Look, no jellyfish, perfectly sheltered, plenty of lookout areas. I think there may be some downsides. However, but let's set up camp over there by that fat rock with the runes on it, guys. Stoic stomped off half of the beach towards a large rock covered in Ugg runes. What do the runes say? Hiccup asked Rishlegs nervously. Hiccup knelt down beside the rock. They say, trespassers will be killed horribly but mercifully quickly if they are lucky. That's the gist of it anyway, said Hiccup. Ugg runes are very difficult to read. I'll have to find out what happens. Oh dear, the throne looks rather menacing as well. What happens? I hope they don't meet any ugly thugs.